Our lateral raises are a strength move for primarily the lateral, so that outside head of those deltoids, those shoulders. They're also a little bit involving the traps here as well. Although we are trying to isolate those shoulders as much as possible, we're also using our grip strength a little bit and our forearms also on this movement. Primarily though, we want to be feeling it on the outside of those shoulders. So starting position on this one, we're going to grab those weights, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to want a nice light set of weights for these typically. This is a very tough exercise to go heavy on. You probably will never progress very heavy on this exercise because it is a very small muscle group and that movement arm is very long. It's very far out from the body, so it's hard to create strength when that dumbbell is so far out. So we want to have those weights right at our sides. We want to be standing nice and tall here, core tight, feet about hip distance apart, that kind of relaxed position here. We're going to lead from the elbows. This is probably one of the hardest moves to kind of master at first if you've not done this before. You want to think about somebody having two strings attached to your elbows and they're just pulling those elbows up. A lot of times I'll see people want to lead and think about just moving those dumbbells up with the wrists and kind of leading with those. We want to think about those elbows coming up, those wrists are just kind of following along. So those dumbbells should never be above the wrists or should never be above the elbows. They should always be kind of in line or just below the elbow when you're looking out at them. So again, standing nice and tall, arms are going to have a slight bend in them. We're not locked on these ones, just a slight bend. And then leading with the elbows as we come up to about shoulder height, controlling the weight back on down to our sides here. So a lot of little common mistakes made on this one. The biggest common mistake that I see made on this one is going to be, like I said, leading with the wrists, leading with those dumbbells. So what that's going to look like is at the top, you're kind of going to be up like this. See how my dumbbells are above my elbows? I'm not kind of rotated over with my elbows being high. And that's not going to put the focus on the lateral head of the shoulder like we're trying to do. So instead of coming up like this and leading with those dumbbells, remember, shoulders are staying squeezed back. We're leading with the elbows as we're coming up nice and wide here. Another common mistake I see made on this exercise is locking the arms. A lot of times, especially when people are first starting out exercising with this movement, it's a new one for them, they'll lock their arms dead straight on this exercise. That's going to put a little bit more strain on the joints. We don't want to do that. Keep a very slight bend in the arms here. Another common mistake made, swinging. It's a big one here. Focus on keeping your abs nice and tight, shoulder blades squeezed back. Also, what plane of motion you're in. We want to be coming out at our sides here. Dumbbells are going to be a little bit in front of the body. That's okay. They don't have to be way back here. But we are coming out at our sides. We are not bending the arms so much that we're coming forward like this. What that's going to do is that's going to kind of be a hybrid move between a front raise and a lateral raise where we're getting more of the front portion of that deltoid involved in this movement. So make sure for those lateral raises, squeeze those shoulder blades back, lead with the elbows coming out to the sides here. Sometimes something that can really help you think about leading with the elbow is kind of think about pointing that pinky up towards the ceiling as you come up instead of rotating that thumb up towards the ceiling. So if that's a little tip that helps you think about kind of coming up and staying nice and in line here, think about that. Think about rotating that pinky up towards the ceiling. That way you'll focus on that lateral portion of the shoulder throughout this movement.